You saw the title. This is legitimately what my bank account looked like after buying Rolexes, Omegas, Cartiers. I'm going to tell you these stories so hopefully you can get a laugh and do the opposite of what I did in my teenage years. My name is Keanu Carey. I'm 19 years old and I've been collecting watches for about 3 years now, and I've made a lot of dumb mistakes, so let's talk about it. My dumb decision making started when I was looking for a Seiko SKX. This is the definitive affordable dive watch that people tell new watch collectors to go get. I had a brief idea of what the silhouette looked like, so I went to my local watch shop, which just so happened to be a Seiko authorized dealer and a vintage watch shop. As I'm looking at all the watches, I'm very overwhelmed because obviously I see all these new brands, all these new watches I've never seen before, and I see the Seiko silhouette. And so I'm like, all right, that's the watch. I have the guy pull it out of the case and I try it on, and it looks really big on me. It looks right. It looks like the pictures I saw, and so I went ahead and got it on a credit card. And that was my first big mistake, was buying a watch fully on credit. I didn't even have the money in my bank account to pay it off. I literally told myself, I was like, I'm just gonna pay this off when my next paycheck comes in, because I know I'll probably make around enough to pay it off. I ended up paying it off without paying any interest, but I will never do that again. And the dumbest part was when I went home, I realized that I had bought a Seiko 5 and not a Seiko SKX. And eventually I did upgrade to the Seiko SKX 013, which I'm much happier with. That's one of my daily watches that I wear to work. It doesn't get much dumber than that because I quite literally bought the wrong watch with money that wasn't even my money. It gets worse, trust me, because number two in sequential order is my Rolex that I bought. I bought my first Rolex when I was 17, and we're going to talk about it. I actually remember very distinctly, it was a program for nursing, or kind of like pre-nursing. So I wanted to be a nurse, and so in high school they would allow you to take an internship with a hospital. And so I would go drive 30 minutes in the morning, like 7 a.m. I would go to a hospital. I would be in the ER shadowing, kind of doing like CNA level work, just helping and assisting the nurses, not actually doing any like main care on the patients. And then I would get like a small break from like 10 to 12, and then I would go to my school from like 12 to 3, and then I would have my sports after school. So I remember I went to the hospital, and then I came back towards my school, and the watch shop was kind of near my school. So I stopped by the watch shop to see what they had, and my friend showed me this watch that they had. It was called the Rolex Date. I believe it's like the 1500. Maybe that's not the exact reference I got, but it was kind of similar to that watch. And I saw this thing and I'm like, damn, this is the watch I was wanting. I knew 34 millimeters was kind of my sweet spot, and I really, really wanted this watch. Now, I didn't have the money on me. I literally had, I think, $1,000 in my bank account, and he was trying to sell me this watch for $3,000, which I still think is a great deal to this day. So I was like, man, is there any way I can like give you $1,000 now? I have money at home. And he was really cool. He just let me wear the watch. He was like, here, I'm going to size it for you. You wear it to school. If you like it, you can pay me after school. And I really don't know what he was thinking, trusting like a 17-year-old kid to take a Rolex to school and not pay for it. But I took it to school. I showed my friend immediately. I was like, man, this thing is awesome. I had like this forensic science class, and the kid was like, oh, what is that, like a Rolex? And I was like, yeah, it was. I felt so baller. I wasn't like, telling everyone in the world I had a Rolex, but like to me, it was just the coolest thing ever. And if someone asked me for a Rolex, I'm like, hell yeah, it is. I went back and I went home. I had to go home first. I had to pick up, I had $2,000 in cash, and I drove my ass all the way back to the watch shop, and I paid for it. I paid all of it, the whole thing, the whole 3,000. And I will show you my bank account. I had like no money in my bank account afterwards. I literally didn't know how I was going to pay my car insurance the next month. My car insurance was like $150. It was insane. And I was like, you know what? I have a Rolex. Who cares? So I ended up making it work, and I had the watch paid off. I paid my insurance the next month. But about 2 months later, something would happen, and it's the reason why I don't have that Rolex with me today. And that is that I got in a car accident. I don't know what you call it. It was kind of scary. My airbags went off. Luckily, he didn't drive me off the side of the road, but I pulled over. My car was totaled, obviously. I'll throw up a picture of it. I remember I was just like, well, damn, like, this guy hit me, like, ugh, he's going to pay for it. But long story short, I did not get paid out for that car. So I lost a lot of money. I lost my car, and I had to buy a new car. So it was just a horrible situation. And I ended up selling my watch. I went back to the watch shop. My friend, again, an amazing guy, he bought the watch back for pretty much what I paid for it. And because of his grace, I was able to pay off that car and get a new car. So it all worked out in the end. Moral of the story is that I bought this Rolex when I wasn't financially ready for it. I couldn't afford to service it if anything happened. I mean, Rolex service is like $1,000. I had less than $200 in my bank account. I didn't keep enough cash on hand, so I wasn't able to keep the watch. I had to liquidate the watch to get the cash back. And to this day, I mean, I really do like that watch. It was a big prideful moment for me to be able to get that watch before I was 18. I had this big dream where I was going to get my Patek Philippe before I was 20. And I could have, but because of this whole situation, I literally was like, okay, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. But I told you I had 4 big mistakes, and the next one was one that really hurt. Like, it didn't hurt financially, but it hurt like emotionally, and I'm going to explain it to you. So I got this big graduation trip to go to Vietnam, which was really amazing. And so I went to Vietnam, and I really wanted to get a watch there to like kind of commemorate, like, you know, I went back to my place I was born to visit, and it's first time out of the country, and it was just a really fun time. This was a couple months after Watches and Wonders 2023. That was a big Watches and Wonders. They released a lot of cool stuff, but the thing I really wanted was the Black Bay 54. That watch fits me. The Black Bay 58 was always slightly too big, even though everyone talks about it being just the right size. For me, it was too big. So the 54, I really wanted that watch, and I was just like, well, I guess I can't get it because, you know, my 80's not going to have it. So I went over to Vietnam, and there was a Cartier dealership right underneath the hotel. Like there was a mall, and then our hotel rooms were right above it. And so we went down, and we really wanted to get a watch, and there was this beautiful Cartier Santos Dumont small, and it had the rose gold bezel and the black alligator strap. I love that watch. I've been wearing it for a while, but that is the watch I ended up getting. I ended up buying that watch with my mom, and we both wear it, and it looks great on both of us. Not even 2 days afterwards, we were walking through another mall, and this mall had like this little tiny Tudor boutique in it. You know the pretzel stores that you usually see in a mall? Well, imagine like that size of a pretzel store, but like a Tudor boutique. It was crazy. You'd have to step up into it, and you could walk around. It's this tiny little box. And guess what they had? Of course, they had the Black Bay 54. Now, I just spent 5 grand on this Cartier, and I actually used my mom's money. She was like, "Oh, you can just pay me back." My bad decision making is all from my mom. I swear, like any bad decision making, she'd be telling me to make bad decisions. At least before she did. Now, like she's not so much of a bad influence. But I had like literally used the money from my mom. I still owed her the 2,500 that I owed from the Cartier, and I really wanted to get this Tudor because that was the Tudor I wanted. That was the watch I wanted. It was the watch that was gonna fit me the best, and I was so bummed out because now I'm like $2,500 in debt, and I can't buy the watch I really want to buy because I don't have the money for it. So that was the third time I ended up putting myself in a very bad position because of watches. And I ended up doing it again. So for the fourth one, I bought an Omega Railmaster. This is again my mom. Oh my God, I need to stop going shopping with my mom. I went to St. Louis for a family event, and there was this little tiny like outlet mall. You know, they sell really cheap stuff. And it was like one of these, you know, if you know the jingle of like a jewelry store, think of that. There was one of these jewelry stores in the outlet. They happened to have Omega and Tissot watches, which was just like, like kind of odd to see Omega there. But they had two, and one of them was the Railmaster, and it was the coaxial, the newer one. And it was a great watch, and it had a great deal. I'll tell you the whole story there. It's in my video. I made a video about it. But basically, the story boils down to I ended up getting a almost new Omega Railmaster coaxial movement master chronometer. I ended up getting all that for $1,300 after tax, and it was an insane deal. No box, no papers, no warranty because it's a little jewelry store. So I was taking a big risk here. I didn't have the money for this. Again, I think I went into debt from my mom. She's such a terrible influence when it comes to watch shopping. But I ended up getting this watch because the sole reason that I knew I could sell it for more. See, I had gotten such a good deal on it. I was starting my YouTube. I was like, I can make a YouTube video on this and I can sell it. And you know what happened? I ended up sitting on that watch, that $1,300. I ended up sitting on that for, I think, almost over a year, or about a year, because I was so scared to wear it because I'm like, oh, this is an investment piece. Like, oh, I want to sell this. I don't want to damage it. And then I was scared to wear it, so I was scared to make the video on it. Then I had less than 1,000 in my bank account. I had nothing else for other watches. At this point, you're probably wondering, why do you still collect watches? You clearly are so irresponsible with money. And that's a good question. But I actually haven't bought a watch in a couple months. I've been saving for something big, doing it responsibly. I have these opportunities to get these Rolex Daytonas, or I really want to get this Patek Philippe Nautilus, but I know I've already made these mistakes before. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. or a fifth time. But I'd like to think that I'm doing a little bit better with my money. And if you've ever made a mistake with your money, I feel like we all have. And when it comes to watches, it can be very easy to get carried away. I only buy watches in cash that I can afford like 3 times over. And I've been doing really good buying more affordable watches and just honestly selling my expensive ones so I can fund my other ones. I really love making YouTube videos, and that honestly has become more important to me than owning these watches, which is why I borrow a lot of watches from my local watch shop. That way I'm able to make so many videos and I'm not putting myself into massive debt doing it. And so thank you for everyone watching. It really does support the channel and allow me to, one, get these watches in, but then to film them for you and share my stories. That means a lot to me, and I'm glad that I'm able to put something out there that hopefully other people can at least find entertaining. But I really want you to take away from this that you shouldn't go into debt for a watch. Maybe you're not as dumb as me. Maybe I was just absolutely out of my mind. But I hope that someone related to this, someone learned from this, or you just laughed at my misfortune. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.